Hello again to all subscribers and listeners of this channel. This will be a review of Attack on Titan Season 2, Episode 2, I'm Home. Very interesting episode. Not quite as intense as the Episode 1, but still very good nonetheless. Also, the double meaning of this episode's title. Very interesting if you ask me, but I'm going to get into that later. By the way, just so you know, every episode review that I'm doing will be of Attack on Titan Season 2, will be of the English dub of Attack on Titan Season 2. So just so you know. But let's get to it. First thoughts. The first few things I noticed was that the episode was definitely less action-packed than the first episode. But that really wasn't a big deal to me. At least to me, it didn't detract from the episode's awesomeness at all. So, still a good episode 2. Now, basically the plot. So, in the first few minutes, we're seeing Armin and Mikasa and Eren accompany Hanji and Levi as they try to desperately convince the priest, can't remember his name, but the priest, to release any secrets that he has that can help them understand who or what the Wall Titans are. And the priest seems adamant about not divulging this important information, whatever that information is. The next thing we see is the flashback of Potato Girl, where her actual name is Sasha Blouse. And in the flashback, she's having an argument with her dad. And during that whole interaction, he's explaining to her how life has gotten a lot harder for everybody because of the Titan attacks. So supplies are low. So country folk who are more self-sufficient like them, they depend on things like hunting and fishing for their survival. They're being pushed out by the greater government, or they're being raided. So because of that, they have to pretty much end their lifestyle the way they've been doing it for generations. And this convinces her dad that, it's too risky to continue living that way, as long as the Titans are around, as long as the army's fighting against the Titans. Sasha angrily objects to this idea of leaving the forest and becoming a wage earner in the city. She likes the lifestyle that they've been living in terms of being the self-sufficient types. And if I'm pretty sure this all occurs either right at or before joining the scouts. So also makes you kind of interested as to how old she is, but whatever. And then when it flashes back forward to the current timeline, Sasha's on horseback going back to her old village. She finds her old village, but finds that it's a bit more advanced than she remembers when it comes to the infrastructure. Eventually, she comes up to the house that has been broken into by a Titan. It's attacking / eating an older woman and a young girl. This leads Sasha to saving the young girl and stopping the Titan in spectacular fashion. And I'll get into that a little bit later. Also, I'll get into this a little bit later too, but the weird thing that Connie found later at the very end of the episode, very creepy. But again, get into that later. Now, as far as the animation is always on point as usual. The few times they used CGI was slightly better in this episode than the last one, but it also looks like they used a lot less of it. So, but nothing really wrong with the animation, always on point. Interesting things that I noticed. One of the first things I noticed was how much less action there was, but we get a lot more backstory on a relatively minor character. And I personally liked it. I like a lot of good backstory and a lot of characterization of individual characters within a storyline. Makes everybody more interesting. It makes the storyline more complex. So I like that. And it makes me think that Sasha is definitely going to play some type of big role later on in the series. What that role is going to be, I don't know, or we don't know so far. And also, if she doesn't do anything major later on in the series, at least we get to see her in a pretty beastly role for once. So Potato Girl, who's usually some type of comic relief, turns out to be a good hunter, a good archer with enough courage to save others. So that's good. Let's see, a couple more things. That scene where the Titan's eating the older woman, if you don't pay attention to her leg being eaten off, it does look just oddly like a rape scene, which makes it all the more creepier. If you don't believe me, go back and pause that scene real closely. You'll see what I'm talking about. More interesting stuff. The articulation of Sasha's face and arms as she strikes the Titan with the arrow was very on point. Animators, like I've said in past videos, are not respected enough for their craft. They're very, very well done. They're very overworked, in my opinion, but very underappreciated when it comes to animators, especially animators of anime. So yeah, they outdid themselves. Pretty much every episode of this entire series, the animators are outdoing themselves, as far as I'm concerned. The voice acting was on point, in my opinion. The only character that sounded a tad off to me was Krista. She sounded too much like an adult trying to sound young. It's like the voice kind of actually does fit pretty well, but it sounds slightly too mature compared to what the character looks like. And I really like Ymir's voice. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Ymir. Her voice is good, but the voice actor sounds kind of familiar, but I can't place it. If anybody recognizes what their voice sounds like, let me know. Then we're going back to that very creepy scene towards the end where Connie Springer, I think that's his last name, he finds what I think is a dying Titan who looks a lot like him. They have the same nose, same colored eyes, except it has long blonde hair. But other than that, the face looks oddly like his. It's weird. What is that? I'm not sure, but it was intensely creepy and a very good cliffhanger for the episode. Also, the title of the episode was interesting. So Sasha went back home to end up rescuing a young girl from a Titan. Connie goes back home only to find a Titan that looks creepily like him. So they ultimately go back home to their home village to learn something interesting about themselves. One ultimately was positive, the other one was just creepy and strange. The best thing about the episode, I would say, was learning about how much more awesome Sasha was. Well, what is awesome about her and her dad. The type of lifestyle that they live, and the fact that they're the old school hunter types. That they live off the land, they have the more frontiersman, self-sufficient thing going on. That makes both of them seem that much more awesome. That and the entire sequence of her saving the girl. From when she finds her all the way to when she stabs the Titan in the eye with the arrow. That entire thing was really nicely done. Again, not as action-packed, but still nicely done. Very good characterization. The worst about the episode, nothing really bad in the episode at all. It's just like episode 1. There's nothing really to complain about. Like I said, not as action-packed, not as action-packed, but didn't have to be. Still pretty much solid all the way through. Favorite scene? Sasha stabbing the Titan in the eye and getting the perfect shot. She gets grabbed, but then is able to slip out of the Titan's arms almost effortlessly and then run out. Even though he tried to trap her, she got out of there within a few seconds. Cold-blooded. Very cold-blooded. On a 1 to 10 scale, I'd give this episode an 8.5. And that's mainly because I like their characterization. I like going deeper into where the character's coming from, who they are. Not as much action, but again, didn't need as much action. So overall, I like getting some backstory about less developed characters. But there's less action, like I said, but again, didn't need it. When I'm given complex and interesting characterization, more than good enough to make a good episode. And another thing that's very interesting about her mentality. Just a curious question for people who are watching it. How many characters in this series or in this anime are going to stab a Titan in the face with an arrow using their hand? That's not necessarily a wise or easy thing to do, but Sasha did it anyway and lived. So she's more of a beast that way. Yep, she a beast. And that's all I have to say for this review. Thanks for watching, and check out the next review. Like I said, I'm going to try to put these out every Monday. I know I'm going to be a little bit late this time, but please rate, comment, and subscribe, and check out the next video when I post it. I'm out. Peace.